What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Super pumped. We've got a very cool guest with us today. She has moved her family 13 times across 4 continents. She is considered a mom CEO and life and career coach, or a CEO for moms. And she is also an author. Please welcome Julianne Bosch. Julianne, did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did. My husband would quote you and say Bosch because he's from Barcelona, but in the United States, everybody says Bosch because they know the spark plugs or the dishwasher. So.
There you go. Well, we've already had such a great conversation so far. So I love what you're all about. And you're also, I forgot to mention, you're also a podcast guest, or she wouldn't be here. So
yes.
I guess your book, How a Mother Took Her First Step on the Moon, a Mother's Keepsake Journal of Advice to My Children. What inspired you to write that book?
Basically, I was turning 50 and I was dreading it. I'm like, oh, half of 100. Had a cousin. She has anaplastic thyroid cancer. 1% survival, really tough. And she said to me, wow, you're dreading your next birthday. And my only goal is to make it to that next birthday. And then the goal after that will be to the next birthday. And it kicked me in the butt a little bit. And I said, if I was no longer here, how would I give gifts to people instead of receiving gifts for my 50th birthday? And it totally changed the ballgame for me. And I started that book in February. My birthday was April 20th. And boom, I got an amazing editor. And like you, I just meet amazing women and they kind of lift you up and shout your name in a room. And she helped me get it out into the world. And on my 50th birthday, I sent it to them as a gift, the 3 of them. So they were my inspiration, yet I did it so that other mothers have kind of a framework.
That's beautiful.
And I didn't want, I say advice. I wanted to tell you what I did and not say, do this. This is the rule book. This is, let me tell you about all my failures, because take what you need and adapt it to what you want and then use it. And I ask you to write in the book. And I ask powerful questions like, what is your integrity? And stick with it and then adapt it as you're going about. So.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I love that. And so you've got 3 children, twins, and
boy, girl, 24-year-olds. Yes.
What did they think about that when you wrote this book?
You know, I thought, oh, they were going to just flip over the moon and be so happy. And I got that. And then I got the other side. It's like, oh, I don't remember the story to be that way. So I think it was also a good shakeup to keep learning. How do I encourage them to tell stories and to write down things that happened to them and use what I did to kind of cement their own framework? Like when they're facing a tough situation, what do they learn? You know, I wrote in there, one of the stories is called Use Interesting Instead. And so when things are difficult to understand, as our world is chaotic right now with war and pandemic and, you know, shootings and things that are happening that affect us quickly.
Very intense. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep that curiosity and that learning going is, I just wrote this simple thing called Use Interesting Instead. And it was one of their teachers taught us that. And they keep doing that to have empathy. Like instead of judging quickly, say, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
And I think I've learned to teach them over time, but now I'm learning from them. Sure. And I think that's the biggest part is when they came back from that book and they said, well, my story of that situation was different. I'll be like, okay, well, rewrite it. Tell me what you think so that we can have a conversation. And I think that's the powerful part of motherhood right now, is to be proud of your foundation that you're setting in your home. But at the same time, be curious enough at one point to start learning from your kids.
Yeah, no, I would agree. That's So you've moved 13 times across 4 continents.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It sure is. And I wasn't with the military. I'm quite proud of being a military brat, but I was not with the military. It was my husband worked for a company that burped bowls, if that gives you a hint.
Okay. So how did that kind of mold your children being exposed to so much different culture and different continents, and because I would think that that would give them a completely different perspective on life than someone like myself that's only lived in the USA, like only in Chicagoland area really. And so like how was that moving them so much?
It was tough, I will say that. But at the same time, they have a resilience that I did not have in my 20s. I look at them, we have this 3 E's that my neighbor taught us, and it's called educated, employed, and now elsewhere. And their elsewheres as adults humble me. I just didn't do the things that they do now in their 20s because they were exposed to so much that they dive in. And I wish in my 20s I had dove in a lot more and made a lot of mistakes. Like they just do things that created no fear. And I think that's what moving around did so much. It's like, I got to talk to that person, or I've got to try that weird food, or I have to like put myself out there, or I'm not going to have any friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool. So you are considered a CEO for moms. Why are you considered a CEO for moms as a life coach? What does that mean?
Well, what I found is I kept getting all of these clients and they kept asking me, well, how did you do it with your kids? How did you make them so, I have one that just graduated from Harvard, another one, they're all these like great, amazing kids. And I think that just put me saying that this is a boutique situation. I want to have these women and these conversations, and all of them are working moms, or they just left the workplace and they were beating themselves up about it. And that's the part that just, I wanted them to shake off and say, look what I did. I mean, I put humbling moments of things that happened to me in the short stories in that book, so that you can laugh a little bit and realize that there's no perfect way to be a mom. So I took on this role as CEO for moms because I want to be your chief executive officer. I want to help strategize to make this the best job you've ever done and be proud of it. And the bonus structure is like way more rewarding than fiscal or monetary that you get, or that silly, stupid little plaque that you chuck when you're in your 80s or 90s anyway. It's not important. And that legacy piece, those kids that you're putting into the world, they're the ones that's going to be the next Nobel Prize winner, the next teacher, the next lawyer, the next cop that's saving somebody's life. Or, those are the important things. I think it just came down to a little bit of wisdom as I was turning half of 100. Is just that reality of I want to take ownership for mothers and not preach to you what I did as the right way, but take my advice and mold it how you need it so that you can adapt it to your family.
So have you always been a coach, or is that something you got into?
I have not. I have not. I started my life in sales in the financial markets, and kind of progressed from there. And the pandemic hit, and I said, God, I can't take that next financial class over technology. I'm like, who does that? Who continues their education? And now, 2 years later, I popped that deposit. I was supposed to take an inline class or in-person class into a coaching fundamentals class. All of a sudden I found this new path. And what I missed about living abroad and meeting new cultures was that learning process. And so coaching opened up a new avenue to meet people and explore again. And, I have clients, mostly women, but all over the world now. And we have the same things. It's just different continents, the same issues and the same things that bug us, or, they don't put the toilet seat down or something stupid, that's really egging on us. But to help a woman strategize to be more fulfilled in life, I mean, that's pretty gratifying. And so I hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, I'm in. I want to be a coach. So
that's awesome. That's a great reason. So what does that process look like? So if there's a mother that's listening right now that might be struggling, or what really makes a woman or mother come to you to work with you? What are some of is there a common thread amongst them?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is just, I'm not feeling fulfilled right now. and they lose their values, they lose their beliefs, they lose their non-negotiables. And I think being a mom helped me be super accountable. And so I use this coactive method where I make you accountable for what you tell me you're going to achieve. And then I don't do it for you, but I help you become more fulfilled in your life. And I say, hey, where did we fall? What happened along the path? And I just find that my clients tend to be happier. They tend to like kind of shrug off the things that aren't important. And it's easier to say yes to a lot more things in life and not worry about the no's. So, if I could tell you, because it's confidential, but I mean, if I could tell you some of the transformations that I've seen, like never in the 20 years before that have I had that much fulfillment in my job.
Yeah.
So if you're a new mom, step out. And that's why I think I kind of mirrored the Neil Armstrong fear of that step on the moon. It took somebody to take that first step, screw up. He paved a way and put a flag there so that we all could have an opportunity to go to the moon. So mothers also have opportunities that maybe they just didn't have that kind of scope yet. And that's what I hope to help women do.
Whew, you give me goosebumps. Well, I mean, without, I know things are confidential, but without like exposing anything, could you share like a success story of transformation, without letting that,
I had one client that wanted to create something to shoot a gun without killing someone.
Okay.
And it had a mechanism that would do that. Could not talk to the NRA, now has conversations with them just because she opened a different way of communication. And whether that comes to fruition or not, the fact that she stepped in and she started a conversation,
huge,
is huge to me. And, I think we forget sometimes. When the door comes knocking for me to say goodbye to this earth, I want to know that I made a mark. And I think that's what mothers want to do with their kids. They want to leave a mark with them. They want to leave a legacy. And I think that's really fulfilling for women too. It's like, hey, I tried. I didn't give up on my grand idea or my invention or, whatever may happen to them within their life. They didn't give up. They took that first crazy, fearful step and they made it their own and said, this is what I did. Come follow me or don't.
Hello, my faithful friends. This episode is brought to you by Brian Tracy. That's right. New York Times bestselling author, internationally renowned success expert, thought leader, and one of the best professional speakers today. We are offering you a 6-figure speaker free ebook. This course is designed for those who want to learn, develop, or improve the skill set required to speak confidently and effectively in front of an audience. So if you are one of these people, don't hesitate on this free offer and go click the link in bio. Yeah, I think it's super important for mothers to, not only be a mom to your children, but also have your own identity and do something that's going to fulfill you. Because if you are not fulfilled at the end of the day, no matter what your title is and functioning in life, wife, mother, fiance, partner, whatever it is, if you yourself are not fulfilled, you are not going to be the best partner you can be to anyone else, or be a role model, or be a leader in your household, or whatever that looks like for you. Because I think that, sometimes, as moms, I know my own mother did it, like you forget how to, kind of put yourself first a little bit. And, that's okay to be a little selfish. And I mean, I encourage that. I told her all the time. I mean, I know when I was in my early 20s and I was always pushing her, you got to date someone. You got to date someone. Like, get out. I don't want to see you be alone. She finally got remarried. But for me, like, that was super important. Like, you are, I wanted my mom to be happy and I wanted her to have a good partner. And I even me and my sister took her to counseling. Like, we want this for you. And luckily now she's remarried and he's great. He's a better father to me than my real father ever was. And it's just been like, but I'm not a mom. I still hope to be one. we're going to need a little help, but I still hope to have that title one day because it's something to be revered and something to be proud of, but you still have to be an example for your children, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think women, we juggle it all. I know some men are, in this now. But like you made that comment as far as our moms had a certain role and what we saw as our moms, and that role model is changing and it's morphing into something different. And I look at my daughters and wow, do they do it much better than I ever did in my 20s. I was like, dang, if I had done that in my 20s, like all the stuff I would have not done, the stupid stuff, I'm like, concentrate on it. And they're doing it way better than I did. But they keep coming back to me and saying, you gave us the foundation and now I apply that foundation to my coaching practice. And I hope just, if that's 1% better, that these women have changed. And, I do have men clients. I don't, force them out the door, but my sweet spot and who I really enjoy are women, and women that have kind of left the workplace and they're trying to figure out what that next step is. And because of the pandemic, I think it's opened the door to possibilities, even for myself. It happened to myself. And I would have never thought, where my husband goes now for work, I go. We're, leaving for Istanbul in a couple days, and we're going to go to Liechtenstein. And before I'd always like, oh, what do I have to do? What do I have to prep? Now it's like me, my computer, yet I have this beautiful beach background behind me and nobody knows where I am. And I think that's the door has opened. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah. I love that. I'm going to come along with you. Can you pack
I would love to have you. So trust me, I'm going to be up in Chicago. Like now that I have family there, I'm going to say, hey, it's time to go for drinks. So
yeah, well, I'm down for that. Absolutely. So when mom wants to reach out to you, what does that process look like? Do you have like an intro call? Is there a certain amount of time they have to be committed to work with you? What can you just tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, I set up, my first thing is I do a little 15-minute meet and greet. So I have a group of peers that I also refer to. So if we don't align, if they don't like me, I don't like them. It's not a like thing, but I guess if we're just on different planes that aren't coinciding, I have a really awesome team that I refer to. So I'll say, hey, I need you to interview, and I hope you guys do. If you are looking for coaches, interview your coaches. Take at least 5 and decide. For me, I have a small practice. I will say that is the enjoyable part of what I can do right now in my life. So I take the ones that I find curious about and that want to tell me and want to be coached. Yeah. And then secondly, I only do 6 months, 6 package times. So basically you buy me in a session of 6 because I'm not going to find out what I need to know in one session. So quick fix is not me. Yeah. So I sign you up for 6 sessions with me, and that's usually 6 months. We do either 1 a month or 2 a month, however you feel comfortable. And then we go from there, and it's a lot of deep diving, and I ask a lot of uncomfortable questions, but I find people want to tell their story, and that's kind of what progressed from me telling my story in that book of things that had happened to me. People want to tell their story and they want to be heard. So it gives me a unique opportunity to do that. And I do not fix people. I want you to know that that's therapy, and it is a valid profession. And I have therapists that I can also refer you to. I am a coach, person that wants to be more fulfilled.
Yeah, I love that. Where can people find you, connect with you, reach out to you?
My webpage is www.juliannebosch.com. If that's too hard, do mothersfirststep.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. A lot of my clients find me on LinkedIn under Julianne Bosch. But those are the 2 really big ones. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all of that as well. But reach out and hit my calendar, and we'll do a meet and greet for 15 minutes.
Awesome. You guys, I'm going to put those links in the show notes, so don't hesitate to go click that link, reach out, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed to having a great conversation with this woman right here. So we're getting close on time. So before we start wrapping things up, I always like to ask for any last words of wisdom or advice for the audience.
Because my book is about advice, I want to give a piece of advice. Is the last chapter in my book is called Love Bomb Unconditionally. And I encourage you to read it. But there is chaos right now. There's pandemic, there's war, there's all these things going on, but stop and love bomb unconditionally. people around you, and let them know how much they mean to you, because it is a finite time. And I say that in honor of my mother-in-law, who I lost a year and a half ago. And I wish I could have said things differently. So don't hesitate and love bomb.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. Those are beautiful words of wisdom and advice. So I appreciate that. Julianne, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you for sharing your story and all the good work that you're doing with the mothers everywhere. I think that it's always great for someone that wants to help others to feel fulfilled, because it's coming from really a selfless place, and it's good all the way around. It's a domino effect of goodness. And I think Athena agrees as well.
Yes.
She's love bombing me right now.
See, it works. It works.
It works. Well, thank you so much. Please let us know any future projects or books you might have coming in the pipeline. We'll have you back to update the audience. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, share, comment, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.